better and not make it too difficult to maybe first mention the questions we have from the perspective of the law, together with not only the metaverse, which is an utopia or maybe a dystopia, but from the whole virtualization, including the augmented reality and the virtual reality. One question is, does the virtualization change the understanding of the protection of privacy and of private data? Of course, connected to psychology, because data protection and especially privacy protection is a question of protection of the person, and also the privacy protection is a factor for the behavior of the person in the society. If the person is waiting to be observed everywhere, the person will not behave in the way the person would behave if not observed. Second, the question will be, who are we really? How personality in the virtual space changing? How the virtualization is changing what we are and how we understand ourselves. And third, this is maybe rather a little bit difficult to seize for you, for psychology, more for the law. How does the concept of ownership and property rights need to be considered in the virtualization? This is on the first side just a law topic. But on the second view, it is also a topic for you because persons that identify themselves also with the things which surround them and which they use for executing their freedom. Next one. First of all, I was doing a presentation like that in Semarang in a conference of the civil law professors of Indonesia. I had 15 minutes to do that, which is incredibly short for that topic, and then I had to start at once, so I did not have the time to explain it. And then later a colleague of mine said he was talking with an Ibu sitting beside him and said, what are you talking about? What is augmented reality? What is that? I never heard of that. I mean, you are all young people here. We all young, maybe maybe I'm a little bit less young than you, but we are young. Actually, we should know what augmented reality is and what virtual reality is. However, I have even trouble with my colleague from the Fachhochschule because he is working from the perspective of the marketing about that, and they have clear definitions. All these marketing guys and these economy guys have clear concept, clear models, clear definitions. And what I do is often like, we say in German, Pi mal Daumen, the number is P and that is the thumb, so I feel somehow, But they make it whole, they calculate the model and then they must, this is exactly that, and he's very angry. Actually, mixed reality is the topic, and augmented reality and augmented virtuality is something fluctuating from one to another, and then there's the virtual reality. I don't care about these definitions. This is not, I want to go into the things. So, depending on how the experience of reality is, we talk about augmented or virtual reality. If the experience of the reality is less, then it's more virtual reality. Then we move in virtual spaces, interact with virtual things, and see ourselves as a virtual avatar, as a person. Or if we are in the reality and let's say we have items which allows us to project any object here virtually in the room, and that object is always there for everybody who uses this item or this software, then it's augmented reality because we augment something, we put something additionally to the reality. But the experience of the reality is dominant because we're still standing here as person in that room, but maybe we interact with that. And that is the more realistic vision. Because the metaverse is still far away, and we don't know if it ever comes. Because we don't know whether people really want to be in the metaverse and swimming around and then getting nausea in that, with that glasses, and it's not so clear. And honestly, I hate Zuckerberg, and I even less trust Zuckerberg. And it would be for me the full dystopia if someone like Zuckerberg dominates our worlds. So augmented reality is something very helpful actually, and can also change something. Maybe for the psychology, the virtual reality is more interesting for you, but the augmented reality is the realistic thing. And there are so many things. For example, I heard about a study. They experienced for the marketing make a research how augmented reality applications should be so that people accept that. For example, in the tourism or in the selling of things. So I want to order something and then I must actually touch that, but with online shopping I cannot do that. So maybe I can use augmented reality, so I can make a projection of the object to my room and then I can see it from all sides, and maybe later we have even tactile devices and we can touch that. And so now, very surprising that this survey said that the customers don't want it too realistically. The customers want to have to see the difference between the reality. If there's the object, this augmented reality object, they don't want that it's too realistic because they want to have this demarcation line between the reality and the non-reality. So the customers or these tested persons did not like it when it was too realistically, so they could confuse the object which is projected with the object which is real. People seem to be afraid of that. Next one. So let's start with the first aspect, the privacy rights and the augmented reality, virtual reality, the individual under observation. The left photo is a very nostalgic photo of myself in Lisboa, in Lisbon, around 15 years ago, when I used this kind of photo apparat. So when this photo, I put that to you, maybe with a teleobjective, I have trouble in the society because everybody can see me doing this. So I observe you with that, make photo of you, what you do with my photos here. If I use this here, it's the same, but maybe I write a WhatsApp, but maybe I make photo of you, yeah, and scan you, and then I have even a scanner of biometrics and can send that to China, and then they do something with that. Already a problem. But in the Zoom, we all the time we're in the Zoom, and then who knows what the Bapa using the Zoom also does with our photo, yeah? Pin the picture of that Ibu or that Bapa and then make photo of him. This is already problematic. But what will we do if we have augmented reality glasses? So these glasses we use for walking in the city or wherever, and then whatever we see, the glasses give us information about what we see. For example, we could walk here and there's a shop, we look into the shop and we see at once the special offer and the discounts of that shop projected to our eyes directly. But also we can scan everything and can make maybe a search, a visual search, face search. I see you with the glasses, then I say send it to the internet, there is an app doing that automatically and it says automatic. That is Bapa, I don't know what. And I know this about this Bapa. The Bapa already posted his photo of his children in the Facebook, and the dying grandma also in the Facebook. And also there is an issue where there was plagiarism. Oh, I find that also. I find all these things. Maybe the Bapa is not behaving good, and there is someone making gossip about him. I know that all in seconds about him. And if we use, can you change to the next one? No, next one. Next one? Oh no, back. Sorry, I don't have that. I had a photo of these virtual reality glasses, which were very big, and anybody would see you use that. But in the next generations, we will have glasses like this one. And then maybe I make like this, or I make like that, and then the glasses are on and online. And then we cannot know who's observing us all the time. Wherever we move in the life, we will be observed. So the question is, what is the consequence for the behavior of the people? And the question is, should we protect the people against that or not? And the third question is, what do the people want to be protected from that or not? Now, next one. Now, Alphabet, also Google, Meta, and so on, they know about that problem. And also they know that actually nobody can control that. So legally, we have already now reached a limit. Why? Because the internet is ubiquitary. It is everywhere. It's not territorial. So if you misbehave here in that room, or I misbehave in that room, then we can call the police, and then the police will enforce the law against us. And if I do that, the police can also stop me from filming you or making photos of you or molesting you or bullying you. But in the internet, we are maybe bullied, or we are maybe blackmailed by someone in the other part of the world. Now, you know all this problem of the hate speech in the public, in the internet platforms. This is psychologically not so surprising, very interesting, because on one side people change their behavior in the platforms totally, but on the other side, for the legal assessment, it is a problem because we cannot enforce the law in a proper way. Even if Indonesia is making a regulation about that, how Indonesia will enforce the law against someone in the US or in China. And this means we have a crisis of the international law, because the international law and also the law of the protection of the citizens is based on sovereignty. Sovereignty of the nations, of the states. And sovereignty means also the states have the right of non-interference in their inner affairs about everything from other countries. And the international law has principles for making sure that that not happens. For example, we have rules which law should be applicable if there is an infringement of interests in certain territory. And of course, if I murder someone in Indonesia, then the Indonesian criminal law will be applicable territorially, because I do it in the territory of Indonesia. Of course, Indonesia could say, if a murderer is proven and he murdered someone in Germany, even could be a murder, because Indonesia says, the rule says, if citizen of Indonesia does that somewhere in the world, we punish. And of course, if I sell you a ground in Indonesia, in Riau, then the real estate law of Indonesia is applicable. But what do we do if it happens in the internet? In the internet, we have no territoriality. And if we have no territoriality, of course, we can find rules which say we apply that law, our law, in any case. But if we have the chance to enforce that, this is not clear. We don't know. For example, and if we come to the augmented reality devices, let's say China brings that product to the market, and this product is used for abusing the privacy rights of other citizens, then yeah, of course we can forbid that. Yeah, but do we have a chance to enforce the law if the servers are in China, the products are produced by China? Okay, China could say, the Chinese producer, Xiaomi, for example, could say, we promise you we will not put that things into the internet, and we have servers which are trustable, but can we trust? We don't know. This means the states have a very limited power to protect their citizens against that, and there is not many solutions. There is the solution to just forbid these products, then we are not part of the development, of the technical development of the digitalization anymore. Or we allow these products, then we must think about how consistent is our law. Because if we cannot really control what happens, then happens what here Google made, don't be a glasshole, don't be asshole, don't be glasshole. They sell their glasses and hope that their customers behave with that and use it in a responsible way. Now I ask you, how responsible would that happen in the reality if people have that option? It's not very responsible, and it's not controllable. This means we have a gap of protection in our national surroundings. And if we don't want to forbid these products, then we have to think about to maybe pragmatize the law. And this is psychology. Why? Because the law is an instrument for conducting human behavior in societies. And human behavior in societies can only be conducted by the law if the masyarakat, the society, is following the law. Of course, you can make a dictator and force the people by punish them and torturing them and send them to jail or even kill them. But a relatively free society or a democracy can only work if the people are convinced that the law should be followed. And the law is followed if the people are convinced that it's an advantage for them to follow the law. The society must have the setuju, the agreement actually, We should follow the law because otherwise our society will not work. And why I should follow the law? Because I'm also protected. I don't kill someone, maybe because I'm an ethical person, I would never kill someone. But maybe if I'm not so ethical, I would maybe not kill someone because I can trust that other people also will not kill me. But what if the law is not protecting us anymore, and we know it? What if we understand that we move in a society within a lot of dangers from outside, but we know our legislation and our government will not protect us because he has not the power to protect us. Because the infringement comes from outside, which is not in our territory, and the state has no power to enforce the law extraterritorial. This is a crisis of the international law, and this is changing behavior, because a law which is not enforced properly, a law which cannot be enforced properly, sociologically leads to the tendency that it is not obeyed. Check yourself. Consumer protection, food hygienic. I mean, there are food hygienic rules in Indonesia, there's consumer protection in Indonesia, but would you rely on the consumer protection law in Indonesia? No. You are critical and check what the products are, but you are not thinking, oh yeah, if then something happens, then I go to the consumer protection, Badan, Perlindungan Konsumen, and then claim against the... It will not happen, yeah, because we know the consumer protection is a relatively modern law here, but it is not enforced in a proper way. And it cannot be enforced. Food hygienic rules cannot be enforced in a proper way in a culture like Indonesia. You can do that in Singapore. You can make a clean food and you can say all the kaki lima go to certain house, and then the government can control how clean they are. But if you do that in Indonesia, then your culture is dead. Yeah, I either don't want it. I mean, I almost never get sick, yeah, I dare to eat that, but I don't want to live in Indonesia with no street food anymore. So, why Indonesia makes regulations like that if it's clear that you cannot enforce that? And what does it do with the psychology of the obedience of the law if the citizens? The citizens will say it's not consistent. It's the same like you go to Hajj, and then you are in Jakarta in the airport, and Emirates say boarding by zones. And then I also go to airport and will want to take the same aircraft, and then they say we start with zone, I don't know, A, B, C, D, and I have the last zone and I actually have to wait. And then I wait, but Ibu Bapa want faster in, and they rush and make pressure to the ground personnel, and then they let them in. And then I'm the last idiot, who is in the aircraft and has no space for my little bag, because it's all full with the things of these people who already entered the aircraft before, because the ground personnel did not enforce the rule. This is an erosion of the law, and therefore an erosion of the conducting function of the law. And that will happen with the augmented reality glasses. If we are not able to protect the privacy in a proper way, we must think about what should the law do with that. Next one, please. And the idea is we must pragmatize certain approaches of behavioral focused law. Pragmatize, what I mean with that. This is I don't have to read that all. This is a decision of the German Bundesverfassungsgericht, the Constitutional Court of Germany, from 1983. The so-called Volkszählungsurteil. It is a decision about the census in Germany. So they made a survey about citizens, how many citizens we have, what is the financial condition, how many people have jobs, and so on, asking about family questions. And it was not so much they asked, but the people were upset in that time, in the 80s. The people were upset. Now we are the glass citizen. Oh, the state wants to know all this about us, and this is horrible, and we must give this state all our information, privacy, and so on. The Bundesverfassungsgericht said, yeah, this is a problem. Because if the people are feeling or have the feeling that they are observed by the state, and the state is all the time surveying them and know all about them, and then people will be afraid to express their free opinion, behave free, because they feel controlled. And we know that in dictators we have full control. We know these social control systems in China, in the People's Republic of China, controlling every step that people do and giving them points for good behavior, not behavior, and then the people will take care that they are not going in conflict with some rules, with social rules. You can say that is good, but from the point of view of a liberal society or more or less liberal democratic society, this is not nice because it is contradictory to the freedom feeling of people. Now I ask you, and this is the interesting point for the research in the psychology, I ask you, what will happen today if the authorities come and ask Germans or whoever, how much more or less is your income? Is it over 2,000 euro or is it over 3,000 euro? Because anybody has Instagram profiles, dance around in TikTok half naked, show in the meta. Who of you has Facebook? You have Facebook, and that one is young, yeah? But many people have no Facebook anymore nowadays. Only old people have Facebook. Yeah? Only old people have Facebook. I switched off my Facebook years ago because there were so many Indonesians in the Facebook, and then I had so many people, and Facebook ada ya? And then I had to add them to the Facebook, and later every morning I opened my Facebook and had to read about things I don't want to know. Yeah? That, as I said, that grandmas in the coffin photo in the Facebook. Their children in the photo in the Facebook. They eat cake totally dirty in the mouth, yeah, like bikin lapar, you know that show, yeah? Bikin lapar, fatty mouth, and so in the Facebook. Yeah, but why they do that? I mean, why they show themselves so unaesthetically in the Facebook, and why people in the world must know how the dead grandma is lying in the coffin? And did they ask the grandma if she wants to be a Facebook celebrity? Maybe not. This is Indonesia. Yeah? And before I go on with my presentation, I beg you, never ever show your children in the public media. Think about what you show in the public media. Why? Because your government and your legislation cannot protect you. What's in the internet is in the internet. Yeah? Once you put something shaming in the internet, someone else has it. And what we can see from that is that the people obviously nowadays don't want to be protected anymore in that way, because they give for free all this out. This means we must think about this. I mean, it's the pragmatation of the law. We must think about whether we should understand, and this is the interdisciplinary aspect, understand a different psychological basis for the protection of the privacy, especially with the virtual reality and the augmented reality, because then we will be more moving in worlds where every behavior is controlled, is reported, is documented, and people seem to be looking forward to that vision of the metaverse and of the augmented reality and all this. Yeah. So if that comes, then we will have no choice anymore. So we must think and decide now how far the society wants to go with that, how far the society wants to understand, wants to accept these things. If we come to the conclusion that nowadays nobody feels unfree if anybody else has an idea about me, because anybody anyway published everything, and everybody is a vlogger and a TikTok star, then maybe we don't need this prohibitive privacy law anymore in that way. And if we understand that we anyway cannot protect the citizens, at least not as Indonesians, then we can maybe understand that we must make a law which is less prohibitive, but more train and teach the people to be more responsible for their own behavior and their own data. So privatize the purpose and the task of protecting the people to the people itself. This is a problem for the Indonesian society, of course, because the Indonesian society is very open for these technologies. And the Indonesian society is in big parts very uncritical with that. And if you see the urban society, there is a big heterogeneity between the urban society in Indonesia and the society in certain provinces. Yeah, so people maybe in Lombok would behave different than people maybe in Jakarta or in Surabaya, and this is a challenge for the development of the law, because it is an illusion. It's an illusion that the law can protect us from that. Maybe blocks can do that. Maybe the European Union can protect because Zuckerberg is respecting our law because they want our market, and Zuckerberg is respecting the US law because he will be fined by the US and they have the power to just destroy his company. Huh? And maybe they even are afraid of the Chinese law. But will they be afraid of Malaysian law or Brunei law or Indonesian law? Indonesian is a relatively big market, maybe, but not sure. Next one. So next one is the personality in the virtual space I want to mention about. Can you next one? So this is my avatar in iPhone, and that one is the evil koala. Yeah, both are my avatars. My wife hates it, but that avatar can even move. Yeah, this new avatars in the iPhone, and then you can like this. Why I show you that? This is just an example. Contoh avatar. Avatar is our personality or our face, our representant in the virtuality. And the problem of the avatar, this is cute, yeah. But I mean, is that one the friendly one or that one? Is both actually friendly, yeah. But that one looks like a human. A human, you never know. You don't know me, right? But the koala can the koala be evil? Yeah, it can. It is the evil koala, the devilish koala. And today I can be that one here. Tomorrow I can be the evil koala, and after tomorrow I can be the nice koala in the metaverse. What I want to say is, when we interact in societies, the law is focusing on our behavior in interacting in societies. But interacting in societies means I can see you. Of course, I don't know you, Ibu. I don't know you. I don't know whether saya tidak tahu bagaimana jujur atau tidak jujur, mungkin penjahat. Siapa yang tahu ya? But I think you are honest, and I think I can trust you. So I think I would make a contract with you. But maybe I would not make a contract with you. Who knows? Why? Because this is my risk, yeah. But I can maybe deduct something from your behavior, from your mimics. So some people have a good understanding of people. I was a judge. I used to be a judge, so I had to consider how the people make impression to me without being biased too much, of course. Just because someone answered party does not mean he lies. But we have some idea about how someone is behaving, and then we understand and we decide how we behave to that person. So contracting. This is showing again how close our disciplines are. Contracting is based on trust. Actually, a contract is expression of mistrust. Because if we trust totally, then we don't need a contract. Some people are insulted. Friends, if I tell a friend, make contract with me, and you promise me, let's write it, then I'm not your friend anymore. Yeah, but we need a contract because we cannot know anybody. So we need a contract to ritualize trust in a certain way, and we replace the interpersonal trust by systemic trust in the law. Because we know once you break the contract, I have the courts, and the courts will enforce the law and force you to pay me the money back. Will that happen? Will that work in the metaverse? In the internet, it can happen, it can work, but in the metaverse, when I interact with you in virtual spaces, then it's not so sure, because I cannot see you. My behavior will totally change because I interact with someone also virtual. And maybe you are active in forums. The phenomenon is maybe for anybody very seizable. I interact in certain forums, forums about maybe watches, or forums about under the news journals that people discuss, and we have profile. I have a profile there. My profile is Kardinal des Grauens, so the cardinal of the horror. This is my profile in a certain forum, and I do that already since 15 years in that forum. So I know people in that forum. They already bought watches from me, or I bought watches from them, and we discuss something, and I know what they write in that forum. I have my idea about the person, and then finally I see a photo of that person, and I think, this is not the person I talked 2 years with. Yeah, totally different. And maybe I would not like to communicate with him because or her because so unsympathetic. But with this avatar and with just this name, and then the name is Sweet Panda, and then I think, yeah, very sympathetic. Let's talk with. On one side, this is not nice, right? Because on one side, we judge people from how they look at us or how their faces are, and do we like their faces or not? And maybe we should think about being more open to that. But come on, this is human behavior. This is like that, and that is how the human behavior works, and this is how the law is focusing on when we talk about legal trust. Now, next one. Oh yeah. This is also showing something about that, because this is showing how we change our own view and our own understanding by virtual reality and augmented reality. This is a mirror showing how could I be if I lose weight, for example. Yeah? Or how could I be if I buy that dress, for example, how I look then. And we can show in experiments that people really would even change behavior and have a different kind of look at themselves when they have a projection of how they could be. Next one. And next one. And what is the consequence for the law? There is one very pragmatic consequence. We must understand that the avatar is not just something not important in the future. Already around 10 years ago, an assistant of mine wrote an article about the virtual property, and we analyzed what is legally happening in online games, virtual online games, in these virtual worlds where you have avatar and then you fight with that avatar, and if you play along, then you will be stronger, and then you will have a special sword with a special wand because you're a magician or something like that. Yeah. So is that sword, for example, some people in China sold that swords in eBay, in online platforms, selling it. And there were people in Africa or in China playing hours and hours these games to sell avatars or sell items for these games, for the people like me who have not the time to play long but want to be strong in that virtual world. So is that sword property? I mean, is that sword comparable to this microphone here in the economical sense and in the legal sense? And we came to the conclusion that this sword or the property or the ownership of that sword, ownership not in a real legal way, is dependent on the contractual situation between the platform owner who makes that game and the player. So legally, this is nothing else than depending on contract. So it's a contractual situation, and property cannot be something which is contractual, because contractual is relative. If it's relative, depending on the contract, I cannot sell it. But what is with the avatar? And with the avatar, we came to a different conclusion. We said, yes, whether I have an avatar and the avatar looks in a certain way, that avatar is also depending on a certain way of the contractual situation. Once the company who runs that game does not want to let me play, they can theoretically switch it off for me or close my account, and then I have no avatar anymore. But as the avatar is developed by the person in a long activity, the avatar is loaded up with personality. So we have a conflict between the contractual law and the personality rights. So the protection, the civil law protection of the personality. Our personality is protected. You cannot take my picture and put it to the internet and put some donkey ears on it, right? And make some funny memes with that. I can forbid that. So I'm protected, and how the avatar should be protected against the free decision of platform users or owners. Sorry, platform owners. This is the problem of the future of the metaverse. What if Mr. Zuckerberg decides we should not exist in the metaverse? The metaverse will be contractual because we decide we will agree with certain rules and certain conditions, and then we can start to move in the metaverse. But what if Zuckerberg says, you broke the law, you show something which we don't want to see in the US? In the US, you can show weapons, you can show people killed with weapons, you can show movies of the mosque there in New Zealand, where this Nazi came in and killed all these Muslims. You can show them all. You can even show the dying people, but you cannot show naked bodies in the US. So what if Zuckerberg says, you show too much naked body, you're out of the metaverse now. Your avatar is dead. Can Mr. Zuckerberg kill me virtually? And this is the point. In the future, we will have to decide manipulated in the shape, for example, and freedom to decide about appearance and impression, freedom to create virtual personality, the right to avatar. This is quite innovative. It's not yet published like that. That will be published in December. It's quite innovative. But the psychological problem and the problem for the society will be if this freedom is how we regulate in the future how people behave with this free avatar. Next one. Because avatars do not necessarily represent the user's behavior in the real world. This means we have a parallel world. If we have a parallel world, how we connect the legal situation in the real world with the legal situation in the virtual world. The metaverse is meant to be a parallel world. We have already parallel fabrics. So there are fabrics where they use the machines in a virtual sense, making the same products, like cars for example, in a virtual fabric, and then they know how the process of the fabrication will work or not. So you have parallel items in the parallel world, and then we have a parallel world. We are not going to Jakarta anymore to work there or to meet someone. We will meet in workspaces which are virtual with our avatars. But how we can be sure that what happens here in this virtual world is somehow connected with the reality, and there is still the reality of the real world. Second, avatars can be replaced and changed and will and are potentially fluctuating. Trust is based on transparency and on a certain static element. Means if we have a fluctuating personality, then we cannot really handle the behavior of the people. We cannot know what people will do. For example, tomorrow you will be evil, today I'm not, then you will not evil. And third, the transparency of social behavior. And it is not clear how the law will capture the ambivalence of the person, the hybrid real and digital society. And this is important for Indonesia. Because Indonesia is, first of all, a multicultural, multi-religious society. But, of course, you are also not that liberal society like my own country. And I was in Mataram in a conference, and then someone from, I think from Sharia faculty asked me, Prof, here in Lombok we have traditional music, good music, it's cool, it's really good. But nowadays, if I go in Mataram, then there is a lot of music which is not good, modern, America, not good. What should law do against that? The German students, that question, what should law do against that the traditional music is going away? The law, nothing, right? Nothing. This is the change of society. If the culture is strong enough, it will not disappear. If the culture is not strong enough, it will disappear. And this is already the real world like that. And if you see the Balinese culture, a lot of millions of drunk Australians run around in Bali, but the Balinese, what they do, they go to their temple, make their celebrations, make their upachaya, and not caring, even inviting the tourists with bikini into their burials, because they're not afraid it will change. What I want to say is, what will happen in the metaverse with that? Because if any Indonesian walks in the metaverse, but we have in Indonesia the idea the law should avoid too much change, and the law should make that the people are always neat and always religious, and also not showing too much skin and not too sexy and all these things, then it will be difficult in the future, because this metaverse is ubiquitary like the internet, and this means egalization of the society everywhere in the world. This means globalization of the society. This is for Germans not so threatening. So we are not so afraid of that, because we know there is a cosmopolitan society, and I would say the German culture. I would not talk about the German culture. I will talk about the cosmopolitan Western culture. No, but not only anybody likes that, and there are things I don't like in the US, and there are things I like more in the French, and you can say there are certain differences, but we cannot say this is such a big cultural difference. Yeah, okay, with Trump I was not so sure about that anymore, but yeah, you know what I mean. But in Indonesia, many people will be wondering about that, because now you are not allowed to access pornographic pages, for example. What do you do if your son or your brother or your father is accessing a virtual strip club in the metaverse? What do you do? I mean, how you want to avoid it that your children go to the virtual strip club? Is there Indonesian officers checking out who of the avatars of the koalas is Indonesian or not? No, maybe not, yeah? So maybe the solution will be the blockchain technology. Maybe there will be KTP, a virtual KTP, put in the blockchain, and then they can maybe, with bots, check out who is roaming around in this world, and then checking out this KTP. Oh, Indonesian, zack, switch off, and penalty. But I doubt that, because that will not be conform with the freedom concept of this idea. On one side, freedom concept of the internet, and on the other side of the dictatorial concept of a Western platform like Meta and his Mr. Zuckerberg, who is not at all in favor of doing too much just if it's for the commerce good, he does it, but for these things not. So what I want to say is it will change the psychology of the people much, because the people will behave more free, because they cannot be controlled anymore. And that means if your cultures are strong enough, and you see that, then you should protect yourself or your family, and then you should maybe make sure that your family feels the wish to protect certain rules of behavior. But if not, then not. Then you cannot stop people from doing that in the future. I think, and that is to all of us. Not only to here, we have in Germany our own idea what can be said. For example, if it's about the Holocaust in the Third Reich, or if it's about showing symbols of the Nazis, this is strictly forbidden in Germany, but in the US, no problem. In the US, you can say everything. And we don't want that in the platforms, but we cannot avoid that. So we already see that influence from abroad, and that will be much stronger in the metaverse. And also what happens, we cannot protect, of course, the interest of the individual in the metaverse. If I'm forced to work in a metaverse, in a workspace, then I have no choice, right? The company where I work for will know everything of me. And if they say, okay, you come to the metaverse or we fire you, then we have no choice, and then we are really in a danger, and that will make us controlled, and then we will not behave so free as we actually used to behave. So our status in the moment is a really free status. Maybe in the metaverse this is ending, because we are more controllable, and then we behave totally different. Next one, please. And this is the last one. I make it short, because this is a difficult topic. I could make a presentation about that alone. Just short to solve the problem. Next one. In the metaverse, or especially the augmented reality, we can combine augmented reality virtual objects with real objects. For example, I could project some crown of the Queen of England to your head. And then we can put it to the platform we all follow. For example, we all are TikTok users, and there is some item we can use the augmented reality glasses. So I walk around, and everybody who sees you see the crown of the Queen on your head. That would be not such a problem. But what if we make some ugly face or some ugly sentence on your head, yeah, or some bullying things or some ridiculous things on it, or we combine in an artwork something ridiculous, or in architecture. Anybody sees that house and then there is something ugly on it, just virtually. Or think about your living room in the metaverse. You have a house in the metaverse. You can already buy virtual Nike shoes. This NFT thing in Indonesia is different than the property law in the US, and then that the virtual world and the real world, may it be augmented, may it be reality, is more and more, how can I say, mixing. And if it's more and more mixing, the law, which is focused on the real and on the real existence and the real activity of the people, is maybe not longer able to regulate everything necessary, because it will be more and more entering our society and also influencing our behavior in the society as a hybrid personality in a hybrid virtual and real world. That's for I think it's not that long, it was okay, I think still maybe have time for discussion. Thank you so much. Terima kasih atas perhatian Anda.
Okay, thank you for Professor Dr. Stephen Kus. This is really new for us. Yeah, actually, the metaverse and person, it's really new topic for who has a psychology background here. And at the presentation before, like mungkin saya bicara Indonesia biar menjelaskan sedikit ya Prof ya. Jadi tadi Profesor sebutkan bahwa Profesor sebutkan bahwa ada beberapa isu ya, including the I'm sorry. Jadi ada beberapa isu terkait dengan international law ya, Profesor. Jadi memang ini yang tidak bisa dihindarkan ya dari metaverse ini sendiri. Jadi memang ada isu-isu yang mungkin nantinya dalam perjalanannya ada namanya multi-cultural issue yang tadi memang sudah disebutkan bahwa kalau kita tidak kuat secara cultural, secara mungkin kita backgroundnya apa? Islam. Ya, Islam apa? Itu religion. Oke, religion backgroundnya apa? Misalnya contohnya dengan halal ya, halal tidak halal mungkin tadi Profesor sebutkan ada di situ bisa terjadi penyelewengan ya. Nah inilah yang bisa kurang lebih kita tangkap ya dari tadi pemaparan Profesor Stephen Kus bahwa panjang sekali kalau mau kita paparkan, terlebih lagi dengan masalah ownership ya. Jadi ownership ini juga sosial sekali ya Profesor ya. Jadi this is the crisis. Semua bisa taken ya, semua bisa ambil apa yang kita punya di situ gitu. Nah baik, untuk mempersingkat waktu, so we will turn in discussion time ya, the discussion section. So if anyone want to have a question, maybe please go to in front of the not stage but here only. Anyone? Okay, for the section 1, we will have 5 questions maybe.
Maybe make question by question because I always forget the question.
Okay, it's okay. Okay. What? Yeah.
I mean, they can all make a question, but just step by one by one.
One by one.
Not collecting.
Tentang Professor, ich heiße Uni. I'm a senior year student majoring in psychology. So we talk about how weak our law, Indonesian law, against digital or virtual crime. So I want to know what other countries, like how they deal with the virtual crime, like US or Germany. I want to know how they deal with that because our countries are unfortunately weak. Like you say, our law can protect us from the crime. So yeah, that's my question. Thank you.
Yeah, just now we have in the European Union. You can sit down. Just now we have in the European Union the draft of the Digital Services Act, which is also dealing with that. It will be next year come into vigor. And the Digital Services Act says nothing else than forbidden is in the virtual world, but is forbidden in the real world. However, the question is not so much the regulation. There's a discrepancy between the regulation and the enforcement. And the enforcement is depending on 2 factors. The factor is the will of enforcement of the state, and the second factor is the ability of the society to handle these issues. So the legal culture, budaya hukum. Yeah. So we hope that this regulation will be relatively good enforced, because we have the experience in the European Union that certain regulations which have extraterritorial application, like the data protection regulation, are quite good enforceable, even extraterritorial. Because, as I mentioned before, companies like Meta need our markets. And companies like Google, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, and so on normally comply with our rules of antitrust law or of the data protection, because and they pay the fines, which are extremely high, normally because they cannot afford to leave our market. This is just a scream of fear when Mr. Zuckerberg led his speaker some month ago saying, oh, maybe we leave the European Union market because we cannot comply with the strict data protection rules of Europe. Nobody believes that, anybody laughed, because they need the market. But yeah, that is how we do it. But however, I think on the long term it will not work, because on the long term, this is just a political enforcement principle. Yeah, it's not a legal enforcement principle, because the law of the European Union is not enforced extraterritorially because we have the right to do so. Because we can. Yeah, we can do it because they comply with our rules, because they need us. They comply with the US rules about that because they need the market, and the US have the power to do so. They comply with China. If they don't comply, then China will expose them. The Chinese market is maybe big. Now the market is less attracting, then China just switch them off. Even Australia could enforce it in a fight. But this is how we try. But basically, we have no idea. Germany alone, for example, cannot do that, because we have a Telegram app. The Telegram app is a messenger, and then the Telegram app is used for a lot of fake news. And also, it was used in a bad way in the pandemic time. And then the German government several times tried to bring the owner or the founder of the Telegram network to comply with German rules, which are more strict. But they didn't even answer the German government. Yeah. So how do other countries do it? Actually, same like Indonesia. On long term, they will maybe not able to protect us. And the most stupid thing is to leave the EU, like the Brexit, because alone European countries will not be stronger than Indonesia. Yeah, that is what I can say. This is the crisis of the international law, right? Because the international law is normally, it's territorial. We have no territoriality, so we must trust that the territoriality is not the important point, and they will just have the power extraterritorial. If a country has no extraterritorial power, cannot enforce the law, cannot protect the citizens, and then will be replaced by technology. For example, filter technology. Platforms will use filters, so there will not be everything in the platform. So it will be automatically filtered out with artificial intelligence algorithms, or the smart contracts. You infringe my right of copyright. You are in China, I'm in Germany. I will not claim my right in China's courts, right? I know it takes long and maybe never left. Then the smart contract will execute automatically and will send me my bitcoins to my wallet, and that is replacement of the law by the technology. Is that more or less answering?
Yeah, thank you, Professor.
If anyone wants to ask a question, please.
Good afternoon, Professor.
Hello.
My name is Dinda, and I would like to ask a question regarding to our topic today. On mid-January 2022, an Indonesian student blogged the internet for selling his personal selfies that he took daily from 2017 to 2022. And he sold it on an NFT marketplace called OpenSea. And he managed to earn 8 billion rupiah from that. So what I'm trying to say is, metaverse and NFT is a new thing to us Indonesian, and people tend to use the metaverse recklessly. For example, they sell their own naked pictures, pornography content, or even worse, they sell their birth certificates. So what I'm trying to ask you, What approach can we use to make sure that people from various backgrounds can understand the usage of NFT and metaphors to make sure that people won't misuse it? Thank you, Professor.
Yeah, thank you. I will ask you something. You can sit down. Yes. I want to ask you something, all of you. How many of you saw the pictures or the movies of that guy with that GoPro cam in the mosque in New Zealand? How many of you, honestly, is there any of you looking that picture of dying people? What that guy made, running around the mosque with a gun, shooting the people with that cam on their head. Is there anyone who was seeing that? Yeah, you saw that. He saw that. Why did you see that? Huh?
It's all over the internet.
All over the internet. So this means you must see that. You must take it. I did not see that. It's all in the internet. I all the time use the internet. I did not want to see that. Because I did not want to help that man to spread his rubbish in the world. This means it shows something, especially psychology important, yeah? It shows something. The people are keen on sensation. The people are keen on these things. They see that, they use that. So you ask me, what can we do to make the people more responsible? Yeah? Maybe there is a limited option to do something, because the people will always tend to do that. We have laws in Germany which forbid to stand beside an accident and look at the people and make selfies with people. Make selfies of with dying people in accidents and spread it to the internet. Media encourage people in Germany to be private reporters. Yeah. If you see something, make photo and send to our newspaper. Some popular newspaper, like it's called Bild. Means making the people reckless and rude with that. But nobody tells you have to see that. Just because it's offered, and everybody is offered, and it's not everybody on the internet. Yeah. If I want to know a news about the shooting of the mosque, then I can Google and I see shooting of the mosque. I see video. Is this video from a serious news magazine or is it not? But the people saw that in a moment live, when this guy was in the mosque killing the Muslim in that mosque, the praying people. So, what can you do? This is a task of universities. This is a task of certain Lembaga Badans. Yeah, in universities have social projects. Universities should train the people, especially the people maybe in the countryside, in the villages. Yeah. To protect themselves from certain things. If the people have no understanding about that, maybe they don't want to protect it, and maybe the society does not deserve something else. But you, as intelligent people, should know that you must do that yourself. If you ask me as a law expert, what can we do here? Yeah, of course we can try to forbid it, but you switch it, you delay it in one part, it's everywhere and else again. Yeah, so you cannot grab all the sources and take it out. This means first of all the platform must comply. Often they don't do that. This means also that then you must go to some court. The court must decide there is a free speech. There is different understanding of free speech in the US and in Europe or in Indonesia. Here the free speech is different than in the US. Even Germany is more restrictive with the free speech than the US. So this is US platform. We have no choice than to be self-responsible. And if you ask me what can we do, you must start with yourself and not look these things. Reject that things. Yeah. Apart of that, there is a certain risk in life that the society is sometimes acting as it acts. We will never, we cannot say, what can we do against the greediness and the wish to make a lot of money at the cost of others? What can we do against that? What can we do against egoism? What can we do against war? I mean, 10-year-old children dream of the world without war. There will be never a world without war. There will be never a world without greediness and egoism. So what can we do? Nothing we can do. We just can try to keep it on a level which is still not destroying the society. And this is also up to you. So I have no answer what we can really do apart of not doing that. Yeah. Not giving them an audience.
Okay, thank you. Maybe it's like a culture itself, yeah. Because mostly in Indonesia, for example, I have some WhatsApp groups. I have some WhatsApp groups, and a lot of people sharing a lot of things inside the WhatsApp groups. So we cannot like filter it, because sometimes I just download it and I don't know what is inside the picture of that they sent to me before. I just download it and I just take a look and okay, this is the thing that I just saw. I mean, like.
It is true, but it is
Yeah.
also a choice what platforms you use and which friends you have.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I have nobody who sends me that. If I had for just 2 weeks, I had TikTok, because one of the German students came to Pekanbaru and she arrived in the airport, and at once she had 1.2 million views. She's a TikTok star, Elif. Yeah, you will know her from the UIR official video. And then I said, maybe I need TikTok, yeah, so for marketing or something like that, maybe popular or something like that. And then I deleted that TikTok, because in the evening when I was boring, I was switching around. And then I did not see only Ibus dancing or funny dangdut songs. I saw especially Jerawat, ugly feet, ugly green skin on the feet, and so on. You know, all these ugly things. People posting disgusting things in this TikTok, and I noticed I make it. Oh, I see. I make it. When I was a judge, I had a file from an accident where a guy was negligent and making accident, crashing in the autobahn with 160 km against some truck, and then he was the driver, he survived, but the one on the side was really a mashed potato. And they put the photo of this dead body in that file, and I had to decide about that case. And then always when I had to do something in that file was opening exactly in that page of that photos, and then I put something on it that it does not open always on that photo, because I always saw this mashed potato, this human mashed potato. It was horrible. And this is happening in certain platforms. So I use platforms I can select. When I use YouTube a lot, and YouTube I can select. I know what I click. And if I see already the first picture or the title, then I know. Sometimes, of course, not. But if I see it, I switch it off. And the other issue is people. You say exactly. This is the budaya. People post everything. I never ever will post my child in social media, because the child has a personality, like the dead grandma. And the child has a personality, and you cannot allow that the child's personality is exploited. And then later the child is 18. I know Indonesian in Germany, one Indonesian, she has now meanwhile is a 7-year-old child. And in the kindergarten, this child was really liking to eat. And that child liked to eat cake. And this child, she all the time posted in the Facebook, this poor little girl with thick glasses eating cake. Make a movie. I mean, then later she is 19, and then she will hate her mother. And it will never be out of the internet. Don't do that. I mean, why you must post the child to everybody? You can select it. The uttermost what I do is a story in the Instagram, and then my child is never naked, never half naked, not coming out of the pool or something like that, or even just you look at from behind. And I have in my WhatsApp profile sometimes a photo with me and her, but these are only people I know in this one. But don't do that. This is the responsibility of the people. And here the people are maybe a little bit less responsible. So I always ask, is Indonesia ready for the digitalization? In the moment, not. I think, in the moment, not. Or you want that, but then you will have a lot of trouble later. Because you can be exploited, and you can be, it's really up to you, because nobody can protect us on long term. Only Zuckerberg can switch it off, but he will never do.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. And then maybe from the audience, is there any questions, please? Yeah, please.
Guten Tag, Professor. I would like introduce myself. My name is. I have a most popular name in Indonesia. My name is Dwi. Dwi. Yes.
Madonna or something like that.
As we know, metaverse has been trending topic, especially when Mark Zuckerberg launched metaverse in the system of Facebook. So I have one question in the concept of metaverse. Yes, concept of metaverse will be the certain plans for the future proof, or it will just be nowadays trend, or it will just be nowadays nowadays trend. Yes.
Nowadays trend.
Think about the future of the metaverse. Bagaimana metaverse akan nanti ya?
Yes.
Atau tren atau mungkin tidak tren ya? Mungkin tidak berhasil.
Benar, Prof.
Oh iya ya.
Benar, Prof.
Trend.
Maybe it will become like a future,
Like a future, like a
future, like
Future.
Okay.
Thank you, Prof.
Terima kasih. Metaverse is not sure. We don't know. Yeah. So I would not invest in meta anymore. Because the augmented reality has definitely a future. This is definitely an instrument which is usable, yeah, absolutely. But the metaverse is not so sure if the people accept that, and that is the psychology. Because first of all, some people say in the metaverse we are not just walking on floor. Yeah, we can fly around, we can move like this, and we are like flying like birds, and then people have to wear certain devices, yeah, so there will be nausea, so the brain is not able maybe to process that in a proper way, and then the people will be nausea, and then the people will only use it for some playing, but not long. Nobody knows how it's for the person if 24 hours sometimes in the metaverse. So some people say it's doubtable that the metaverse will ever replace the law. For the German and the European legal situation, it's also one thing you cannot avoid. The conflict with the data protection will never be avoidable, because imagine, I said that before, if you have a company and the boss forces you to work in the metaverse with the other colleagues, then you are forced to give your data. I mean, you are forced to give moving data. You move, you do that, you go there, you talk with someone. You are full controllable. Already we have a problem with camps in the fabrics or in the companies, observing people, observing the employees, yeah. This is another issue. So legally there is so I personally think if the metaverse ever comes, then it will not come before, in my lifespan, maybe not really usable. I'm not sure about that. I personally like to invest in companies who have a vision, but the vision of Meta, in my opinion, I don't trust in that, so I will not put too much money in their shares. But the augmented reality, yes, the augmented reality will be definitely good. And again, I want to remind you what I said about that study in the beginning. There are surveys saying that people don't want it to realistic. So it's surprising, right? Because they think, wow, there's a real chair, but nobody wants to have a chair and sit there and then fall with the S on the floor because it's not real one, and we confuse it with the reality. The people don't want it to realistic. So it's surprising, and if the people don't want it to realistic, maybe the people don't want to be permanently in this virtual world. So maybe this is all science fiction, what I presented here, a part of the augmented reality thing. Maybe this is all science fiction. But of course, we can transfer what we talk about already to the platforms, because in the platforms we already move, and this is already real. But the metaverse has maybe a future, but long time in the future, I think. And look to your own country. With that really, already the electric cars will be a problem to charge them everywhere, yeah? So maybe there will be not in all the countries the same. I'm not sure, but yeah, online gaming also will be of course good, will be better, and then people are 2 hours there. But who wants to be 20 hours or 12 hours from morning 7 until evening 9 in virtual worlds with funny koala? No. You had a question?
My
my question was actually related to the question before, so I don't know whether it's kind of off.
Just make it.
Okay, so
Can you take the micro?
oh yes, of course. I don't know.
This is our exchange student from Dortmund in the law faculty, but she's an economic student, and she is not exchange. She is in the summer school program.
Yes, I'm in the summer school.
Actually, she will. Unfortunately, these both will leave Indonesia soon. But we have. We are very proud of them.
All right.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the opportunity. As I mentioned, my question was related to the question before, and you mentioned that you only search for what you would like to see, what you want to see. Did I get it right? But don't you think that it is only as dangerous as also getting like things that you don't want to see? And I'm not talking about accidents or something like that. I'm thinking about different opinions, because I know a lot of people who live in their bubble, who only see things they want to see. And that's not how you learn to be critical. So don't you think it's also important to see things you don't want to see?
Yeah, but there we talk about opinions, and to assess opinions. It is different to read opinions, other opinions, or to see, let's say, pictures. I'm always of the opinion that I don't have to see a dying person to know that there is a massacre, and. Of course, this is a personal thing, how you filter the things. Yeah? I'm not of the opinion, for example, that the internet should be filtering with artificial intelligence too much. For example, there are forums in the Spiegel, for example. I cannot write something because there are certain trigger words, and the artificial intelligence just don't allow me to say that. And yes, I think you need to read several opinions and to see the things from different perspectives. But if it comes to something like this, movies, and about the responsibility about something, you must always assess yourself. And I mentioned that this is a personal question. What you do, I don't say forbid that. I don't judge Gandhi because he saw that. It's not that I say he's a bad guy because he saw that. I just want to show you that if we talk about protection against certain excessive elements of the internet, then we cannot rely on the state, we cannot rely on the government, we cannot rely on the legislator. We must rely on ourselves and our gesunde Menschenverstand, the healthy idea about that. You will know what, yeah? I mean, you say they live in a bubble, but you also know there are bubbles which are crazy. I mean,
of course,
for example, this bubble who thinks that Hillary Clinton has a laboratorium under the Central Park and eating children and make some nice healthy juice out of little children. I mean, who believes that, or who believes that the Earth is not a ball? And these people are in a bubble, and they all the time reconfirm each other with that bubble. Yeah, I don't need to read their opinion. Yeah, but this is my personal decision whether I read in Telegram this ridiculous things about Bill Gates vaccinating us with chips or not. I don't have to know that. If it's about there is study about that or study about that, but I admit it is difficult. I mean, yeah, right.
Because I was thinking about, for example, something like wars. People are also dying there, and people kind of don't want to see it. And sometimes it's important for people to realize that there is.
I agree. The shocking effect can be important. I agree that people should see. I mean, for example, I forced myself to look into the pictures of the faces of Jewish people killed in the Holocaust. There's a in the Twitter. There is the Holocaust memorial. They always post the names, the birth date, and the picture of these people, because I think it is important that someone see this picture after they were murdered. This is a different approach, yeah. But I don't have to see someone killing people in a mosque because I know this is a terrorist, and I know it's horrible. I also agree that I should show neo-Nazis what happens in the concentration camps. This is without doubt, yeah. But you cannot just make it general. I mean,
yes, I do agree with you.
No, I understand that. But many people just don't see that to learn something. They see that because they are bored. And this is a different thing. And then you should test yourself. Do you see that because you are bored and you want to be entertained? Or do you see that because you want to learn something and you think, oh, maybe war is nice. Let's see something about the war to know that war is horrible. Yeah?
So maybe to be critical is like the best approach to...
Yeah, and that is exactly the issue in society, many societies. Don't think the US is so modern. The US is modern in the West Coast, the US is modern in the East Coast, but in the center, the US is medieval, if it comes to the mind of the people. And don't think Islamophobia has the right to say, oh, Muslim or radical. There are radical people here, and there are radical Christian people in the US, which are not different than radical people here. So this is, and these people, for these people it's dangerous because they can be biased with that, they can be enforced with that, and then there comes this copying it, and wow, cool, what that guy does. Yeah, I also want to be a violent vlogger. This is the point, and this is not what I mean. What you say here, I know that you will not see that, and just to entertain yourself with dying people.
Yeah. Thanks for the short discussion.
Okay, anyone? Anyone have a question again? Yeah? Okay, please.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam.
Good and that. My name is Belajar and I am psychology student. So my question is simple. What if psychology student like us and even psychologists itself providing psychology service is like counseling and psychoeducation in metaphors? Is that possible? And what your opinion about it? Thank you.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, counseling needs personal contact with someone. Yeah, this is a very interesting question. Can psychological counseling, can you help someone who has a psychological issue by using the virtuality? I think this is not possible in a certain, I think there are limits for that, right? Because you cannot assess the person. You must trust the person is, I mean, you know, this is like doctorate. Like a medical doctor. A medical doctor must see the person. A good doctor is not just asking for a symptom and then give you a pill. A good doctor knows the psychology. A good doctor is talking with you. The doctor is looking into your eyes. The doctor sees how you feel. And also there's the psychosomatic aspect of the treatment. And yeah, I doubt that can be in the virtuality. So this is my idea is that the virtual reality will not replace us, the reality. Yeah? And this is exactly what I'm afraid of, because how far we are willing to accept that this virtuality is intruding our lives, and I think there is a limitation exactly here. No, that cannot be done, as I understand that. Maybe there is certain there's cannot be done. Cannot be distance counseling of psychological aspects. Is this the issue like these experts talking about what's going on in Prince Charles, yeah? And then they make a the distance assessment of Prince Charles' behavior and then say, he has that issue and maybe like this. Yeah, but how serious can that be? What do you think? Is it possible? No, I also think so.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Because it was really a critical issue also for our psychologists here. And before we faced pandemic, right? And in the pandemic, we were so difficult to meet with our client actually, and we only have a Zoom meeting. We only have a Zoom meeting platform, and that was really difficult to talk. To have a counseling.
We all know that, because for me as a teacher, this is the same issue. Zoom lecturing was horrible for me. I have no feedback. I have no human feedback. I mean, I can hear faces which are bored. I can see faces which are interested. I can see how you react. But it gives me incentive. So my behavior is also influenced by we have a feedback, right? This is a communication. Even if you don't say anything, we communicate. Everyone in this room communicates with me, I communicate with you. If I have a Zoom picture, or even not a picture, then I'm very bad presenter. I'm a horrible presenter in the Zoom because I don't have feedback. I cannot stand that. I'm, with that say in German, I'm a Rampensau. A Rampensau want to see the people. Rampensau, I don't know if you understand it. It's a pig who want to be on the stage. So I run on the stage always when the stage is open, right? The point is we want to have the dialogue, and then if I don't have the dialogue, I am not a good teacher. So I make a movie for my students, a video for my students in my webpage, how you should be if you want to have a good lecture. Because the student in the Zoom time, they thought the good lecture is coming from the lecturer, and the lecturer should deliver some quality. But no, the lecture is dialogue, and the quality must come from the student too, not because the student know all already, but the student must give me incentive at the lecture to be a lecturer and to deliver something. And this is psychology of the virtual reality, and we cannot have that. So how you want to assess that these things in your clients? Never. If already me as a pure lecturer cannot really do my job in the Zoom. So I'm so glad that I can talk again. Yeah? Even if there is nobody saying something in certain situation, it is even better than sitting in the morning in front of my computer, this monolith of computer, and thinking I'm not sitting in front of living people.
Thank you, Prof. And maybe here we have like a multimedia psychology teacher here, like lecturer, and it's only like launched this semester. Okay. Yeah, it just launched this semester. Yeah.
So interesting, yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting. Very brand new.
I hope we can collaborate about that, because this is a dream. I mean, this is really something I don't find in my faculty, and I don't find in legal law faculties. Yeah. May I say something to the audience just for finishing?
Yes.
I'm very happy about the skills here. I mean, you all, many people try to formulate in English, and it was very good. And this is not self-understanding in Indonesia. So thank you very, very much, for that you had that patience, and that you talk free and dare to speak out. And so I was really happy to be here. And this is not just making you happy to say that, it is really, I had already occasions where I did not have any feedback because people were sitting there and nobody understands the word. And here I have a feedback, and that makes me wanting to come back. Thanks you. Terima kasih.
Before I close